The next section I want to talk about is practice. And really, I think practice makes all the difference in the world. I know that for some people it's confusing. You know, how do you practice? So I want to share with you some of the things you can do to practice. But most importantly, the thing you can do to practice is to practice, 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 and then practice some more. Just showing up is not enough, and we definitely don't want to be practicing in front of the room. You know, the day of your engagement should not be the first day that you're going through your stuff. So I just want to encourage you to practice. My process is this. The first thing I do is I write out my talk, handwritten notes. I use my yellow pad. That's where I start. Then I go to a typed outline like I shared with you before. Then I build my PowerPoint. And then I do what I call my walkthroughs, my practice. Where do I practice? I practice right in my office. I walk back and forth, back and forth. My neighbors think I'm crazy, but hey, that's okay. So I practice and practice and practice. And I know some of you aren't going to like this, but it's just necessary. It's part of becoming a business speaker. I put well over 100 hours a year into just practicing my talks, the free ones and the paid ones. I practice all of them. So here are some quick things that you can do to practice, or maybe a few answers to questions you might have. Preparation time. How much time do I need to prepare for a talk? In the beginning, I don't want anybody to flip out, but in the beginning, it can take up to 1 hour of prep time for every minute of presentation. So for your first talk, give yourself plenty of time. Give yourself some 2 or 3 weeks to do your outline, to create the PowerPoint, to practice it. It's going to take time. It will get better, particularly if you're doing a similar talk over and over. But I went back and analyzed, and that's what it was for me in the beginning. Focus on the talk. Don't get carried away with the PowerPoint. I know PowerPoint can be fun, and all of a sudden we think we're graphic designers, but focus on the talk. That's really what's most important. Write it out and then speak it out. You know, physically write it out and then speak it out. And what you'll find is when you get your outline done and then you go practice it, you'll get to a spot and you go, that's terrible. I don't like that, or that doesn't feel like it's flowing. And I'll literally stop right then and there and then go back to my outline, rewrite, and then start practicing again. Right? So that's just kind of the process that I go through. How do I know when I'm ready? I love this question. You should be able to do your presentation without any notes or PowerPoint. It doesn't mean that it's the same way, word for word, every single time. It just means that you can get through the presentation beginning to end with no notes and no PowerPoint. No notes, no memorizing, no PowerPoint, if you really want to include the rule, right? So if you plan to use PowerPoint, you want to practice with it, but you should be able to do it without. How long it takes to get to that point is a little different for everybody, but that's when you're ready. How do I practice? I practice like it's the real thing. I practice from beginning to end. So I'll stand in my office. I put a timer up on the screen. In the resources section of the workbook, one of the things I have in there, there's a website called online-stopwatch.com. It's one of my favorites. And you can use that up on your screen. And if you have dual screens, it's really cool because you can have both up. And I go through my talk, and I click through my slides, and I do the whole thing. And I do it from beginning to end. I tell the bad jokes. I tell my stories. I literally do everything from beginning to end. So you do it as many times as you have to, but if I have an hour talk, my practice time is an hour. 20-minute talk, I practice for 20 minutes, and I do it over and over and over. So you don't want to practice too much, but you want to practice until you're ready. Record yourself. This is something I'd encourage you while you're practicing. Record yourself audibly, or you can record yourself with video. Those are great things to do, so you can go back and just analyze how it looks from a different perspective. And then time yourself. You know, time the sections of your talk, and then time the talk in its entirety, because again, from our previous section, we need to know how much time you need for each one of those parts. So practice makes improvement. You got to find what style works for you for practicing, but to me there's no replacement for just doing the real thing.